And now, Mr. Pablo Chacin, CTO at Sensafields, a company that provides intelligent transport system for traffic management based on wireless technology. He will explain us the evolution of intelligent transport system, one of the aspects that we have to take into account because it has a bigger impact on the wellness of a city.
Okay. Hello, everybody. I will just make a small brief presentation of the company just to put this presentation in context. We're a joint company that was created here in Barcelona some 4 years ago. And since then, we have managed to develop our technology from the ground. I mean, from the very beginning of the design of the sensor up to system in the cloud, just to offer solution for a smart transportation system based on wireless sensors. Briefly, our technology is based on wireless sensors that you put in the streets, and they detect the passage of cars by means of detecting variations in the magnetic field. And this information is collected and sent to cloud system where you can gather information about the flow of vehicle in different parts of the city. This is our main business. And based on our experience and what we have seen in the market, how it has evolved in the last years, I would like to share with you some insight that we had gathered on how we see these technologies around transportation, which overall are called small transportation systems, how we see they will evolve in this area. Well, briefly also that we already have our sensor in place in real situation. This is not, I mean, prototypes or whatever prototypes are in the market. We have large deployment already, both in intercity and city environments. A lot of sensors. We have been running this for some years, so we have some experience in how this works in real situations. Now, the interesting part is what I'm talking about transportation, but mainly because transportation was the most significant system in any society. Without transportation, for much you can translate information from one point to another, at the end, the basic elements like food need to be transported. People need to move somewhere. So transportation was the subsystem of any society that had a bigger impact for good or for bad. Bad transportation had a huge impact in the environment, for instance. Good transportation can change the way a city develops, for instance. You can change the development of a city just by changing the transportation system. That has been proven in many third world cities, that only changing the public transportation system, you improve the economy of the city. Okay, so it's a huge element that you need to consider when thinking about smart cities, is transportation. And regarding transportation, there are now increasing pressure to improve transportation because, as I said, the impact, economic impact, environmental impact, but also because in many countries, mostly in developed countries, the existing infrastructure are reaching the collapse point. I mean, they are close to the maximum potential utilization as we use it today. And that's the problem. This is not the theoretical maximum, but the way we use it, they are collapsed. And the question is what we should do, construct more roads or improve the utilization of the existing infrastructure, okay? And that's why I think the intelligent part comes, is the better we know the transit, the better we can manage it, and the better we can use this infrastructure without constructing more roads. And here where technology comes, I hope this time for the good, not for the bad, is to improve our knowledge of the transport, we need to measure a lot of stuff. We need a lot of information because nowadays there are very little information about transit. Why? Because the technology that has existed so far is very costly to install in the roads, and the quality of the information is quite bad. Therefore, there is a little real knowledge of how transportation works at the large scales. There are some spots where you can gather some information, but even within a city, it's difficult to get valuable information to understand the mobility within the city, not to mention what happened outside cities, when probably you have absolutely no information at all. Okay? Interestingly, based on no information, politics make decisions about development. And you say, for instance, we need to increase this highway. How did you get that information from? You don't have information. Even in cities like Los Angeles, they have something like 16,000 sensors, traffic sensors, but they acknowledge that more than half of them are not working or are providing completely unreliable information. Nevertheless, they're taking planning decisions based on that information. So we need to improve that. Okay, how to improve that? Well, basically, what is changing is that now we can use new kind of sensors, like the one we developed, to gather better information. To be sensors that are easier to install, that you can install in different places. You can have more density of sensors, so you can gather more information. That's one change. But the other important change is that now the concept of sensor has changed. Before, sensor was something you put in a place to measure something. But nowadays, what's happening with traffic is this traffic sensor is the sensoring of itself. How? Vehicles. Vehicles can report information about themselves, either by the vehicle itself or by people who is inside the vehicle who is carrying a mobile phone. Okay? So now we move to the situation when in Los Angeles, I don't know you know this city, it's a huge city. When you think that in all that city you only have 16,000 points, then the problem is how is that possible? It's a very low density of information. But in that same city, you have probably 10 million vehicles moving all around. So you can gather information from those vehicles, you can gather a lot more information. And also, you are now getting more and more devices near the roads that can be part of the collection and processing of information locally. Okay, it's more the street lights, for instance, and now they also carry some processing power inside of there. Now, these changes in the technology, we basically can summarize in this point. Now, the system has become much larger with a more diversity of sources of information, not only the sensor, but also the vehicle themselves, but also the concept of what is a sensor is a change, that everything can be a sensor, the vehicle itself can be a sensor, okay? And that basically changed the way we think about the system. It now become a much bigger system. And this will bring some important technology problems to solve. I will skip this one because it's not really important. The most important is this one, is that basically the evolution of the smart transportation system should consider these 4 points. How to manage all this volume information means how to manage the data, what we can call big data, how to manage the infrastructure to process this data with a cloud system, this business as usual nowadays. But also, once you get that information, the next question is, what are we going to do with that? If government keep that information close, what is happening nowadays, there's a little utilization of that information. We need to develop open APIs and open platforms to get access to this transportation information to citizens and to third parties to develop new applications like a smart mobility, like optimization of the transportation fleet, whatever, okay? And finally, one of my favorite topic is, if you look back briefly at this drawing, there's a lot of devices all around, including sensors, but also elements on the side of the road that are used to collect this information. We're talking about millions of devices. Somebody must manage those devices. And that's going to be a huge problem in reality. And we are not prepared for doing that. Absolutely not. We are far from being those. So for me, probably the most important part is how do you actually manage this infrastructure once you put this in place. That's why I mentioned that we have the experience, and we can tell you that even a small 100 kilometers long highway is difficult to manage. Imagine if you deploy this in millions and millions of roads all over the planet. Who is going to manage that? I don't believe anyone is thinking about that problem. But the next problem, how will you manage that? I think this was probably the most interesting open problem from the technology side. And that is. Thank you.
Thank you very much.